Frankie Cartoscelli with us here on Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports. Last night, Frankie, was that the official De'Aaron Fox's back game?
I mean, yeah. I mean, De'Aaron obviously was not right for a couple nights, and I don't think it was ever it wasn't. There's not a worry that De'Aaron's injury is serious. He even said he wanted to play through it a couple nights ago. When you deal with a bone bruise like that, it's nice to take a night or two off, and the fact that he was able to fully put his foot down the gas, get downhill, where he's so effective. The pace of this Kings team, De'Aaron Fox is the face of that. Watching him kind of be able to be himself. Obviously, the three-point shooting was clicking too, 4 of 8 3-point land. But it's definitely encouraging to see that De'Aaron is not feeling the effects of that foot injury. Obviously, he gets hit in the face and has some blood falling down his face, and no call, of course. But he's feeling pretty good. It looks like he'll be rocking a Band-Aid for a couple of games, even though that's something that he has joked about that he doesn't want to do because of Malik Monk's sprash later in the season. But he'll be rocking the Band-Aid, and he looks like he's feeling good out there. And he's so important to this Kings team. When he's at the top of his game and Sabonis is doing what he does, good things happen for the Sacramento Kings.
I know Malik Monk and Domas Sabonis both said that, Coach Brown, in the way that he fought for them and stood up for them, definitely had an impact on how they played moving forward in that game. Do you think NBA referees, the league, anybody is listening, watching when Mike Brown voices his complaints, whether at a podium or at center court as he did last night? And do you think anything changes about how the Kings are officiated?
Yeah, I mean, he did it earlier this season. He made a statement after the Golden State game about a month ago that this is something that he was unhappy about, and now I guess he took it a step further by going on to center court and telling the officials what he thinks right there in the moment. So I talked about this morning on our podcast, and I think it's still the Kings being viewed as little brother around the NBA, and that's a narrative that's going to have to change. And it's a tough spot to be in when you're not getting the calls that you want to get, but winning games is the best way to change that narrative. And it's going to be something the Kings are going to have to deal with until they don't. Who knows when that end is going to be happening, but Mike Brown is going to fight for his guys, and you see how they responded last night, and that's definitely what you want from your team.
Yeah, Tim Maxwell, by the way, from the Kings Herald, just tweeted this out. After last night's last 2-minute report, here's where the Kings stand for the season. Disadvantaged calls, 16. Advantaged calls, 5. It's not a narrative. It's a fact that the Kings have gotten hosed a lot more in the final 2 minutes than their opposition in the games they've played this year. Frankie C with us. He's on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline, Folsom Lake Honda one-stop Honda shop. Frankie, Domas, again, a monster, 40 minutes or so, 20 and 20. Put his season in perspective so far, and has he been even better than you thought he would be?
Yeah, absolutely. Domas Sabonis, when they acquired him in that trade, I think we'll all have been happy if we saw a player that can come in and get a double-double each night. Came in last season, did that over the course of, I think, 15 games. But when you see that the defensive end has really kind of come together for Domas, that was the other side of his game that was, I think, lacking. I think that if he could have been a plus defender, I think Kings fans would have been happy. But he's been more than a plus defender. He's been one of the better defenders at protecting the paint and the rim over the past month. And when you lump in the fact that he has been a walking double-double, a guy who's been close to triple-doubles or secured a triple-double this season, it's something that I think makes him one of the more valuable big men in the NBA. And I think it's why, to me, he's a shoo-in for the All-Star game. I know that might be something that people have overreacted to, and I've said that on social media, but I don't think you can look at what he is doing and say that this player does not deserve to be an All-Star. When you look where the Kings are in the standings, how valuable he is, he's 4th in the NBA in win shares. I mean, he's invaluable to this organization, and it's somebody that I think now that he's doing on both sides of the ball, and the fact that he can control the offense. I mean, I think he leads the Kings in assists per game right now. That's just invaluable to me. So better than I thought he would be. Absolutely. I mean, Sam Amick was in the morning show this morning and said that he'd always thought Domantas Sabonis was a good basketball player, but he never thought he was this good. And I think a lot of people are kind of starting to realize that about Sabonis, who had a good run in Indiana. But what he's doing here in Sacramento, it's unheard of in his career. He has never been this type of player in his career. And the fact that he's doing it consistently and efficiently, over 60% shooting, that just speaks to how happy the front office has to be and the fan base that Domantas Sabonis is a Sacramento King.
You mentioned his defense really sharpening as the season goes on. Do you think that's the first domino to fall in terms of the Kings defense really seeing an upgrade? Because I'm looking at the standings right now, Frankie, and the difference between the Kings and the 7 seed and the 6 teams ahead of them, with the exception of Denver, they're right there defensively with the Sacramento Kings. Every other one of those teams, 4, 5, 7 points better than the Kings when you talk about points per game. They need to improve that. Do you think we start to see and I know there's more to it than points per game, but do you think we start to see a real turn for this Kings team defensively anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, the scheming has changed a little bit, and you've seen how their defensive rating has slowly kind of ticked upward over the past couple of weeks. Right now, they're up to 17th in defensive rating. They were hovering around the 14, 15 spot at the beginning of the road trips, and obviously when you play these tough games against Cleveland, the Milwaukee Bucks, 76ers, teams that score the basketball at a high rate, that rating is going to drop. But it's going to come down to, can they upgrade the personnel that they have? And Sabonis has done a great job, but he can't play all 48 minutes. So they need to have somebody that can come out there and hold their own. Chimezie Metu has looked good in stretches, but he's not somebody I would say is a defensive-minded bench big. He's someone who's been a rim runner, and when the Kings need some buckets, he's a great player to have out there with his athleticism and his ability to run into a three-pointer every now and then. But it depends on who's available out there on the market. The fact that the West is so bunched up and the East, too, isn't really a slam dunk right now. The season's still in the early stages. It's tough to know who's going to be selling and who's going to be available. There's the rumors out there that Nerlens Noel could be available out there in Detroit. I mean, it just kind of depends on who is out of the race and wants to kind of look to tear apart the roster. But we know the Kings are looking to move Rashawn Holmes. I think he is someone that needs to have a new start somewhere else, and I think he's still a starting caliber big elsewhere. And that's just something to me I still am a little confused about. I think that it's worth throwing him out there in some situations against certain matchups where teams have bigs. And you saw Jordi Fernandez do that last night. He threw Rashawn Holmes out there for a few minutes, and while he didn't look incredible, and it's only a 3-minute span, so it's hard to kind of gauge it. But the Kings need more length than they have, and that's not rocket science. And the fact that they need to have that defense where in a state where they can come in and defend to a respectable level every night, they need that pretty bad if they're going to make a run here.
Thanks, Frankie. We'll do it again soon, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice long weekend full of Bruno Mars. Go outside, get some fresh air, and it's always a pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks, Frankie.
I don't like it. Frankie Cartoscelli, Folsom Lake Honda Hotline.